Okay, so this is our first ramble.
Yeah, we're just going to sit here and talk. We just sit and talk about whatever the hell comes upon us. Yeah, I'll try and keep it as clean as possible. Poor Seth has to work really hard at keeping me look.
Oh, yeah, it takes a couple hours to do everything.
So I'll do the best I can.
So we were just talking about iPhones versus Android.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I am an Android guy, but worse than that, I am a Pixel Android guy.
And I've actually had iPhone and I've had Android. So I've had a little bit of experience with both.
But you've had Android Lite, which is Samsung.
I think I did have a Samsung.
Samsungs are basically trying to copy Apple. Early Samsungs, years ago, like on a Samsung 2.
Okay.
Those were more still running when it was back when it was the Marshmallow and all those Android operating systems and all that. Those were still very Androidy. Samsung has now tried to take over the world. They have their own app store and everything else, just like Apple. And I understand people want it. People want to only have option A and option B. And then they want to complain when neither one of them fit what they want.
See, here's what I saw the difference. Android, you do have more options. You could do a few more things, but it's not as stable. That was the issue I was having.
You're talking about in the marketplace when you had all these different people coming in and trying to make apps and stuff.
There was just,
yes.
You could do more things. It was a little more difficult to set up.
Yeah.
But it did have some issues. Whereas iPhone, you do less things, but it's solid. That never hangs. It never had a problem. But I actually have the worst phone you could buy.
What's that one?
I bought it from Best Buy. And hold on. Let's say what?
Said, wow, you're old.
Yeah, I bought it from Best Buy, and they had a thing where if you brought it back, they did charge you a restocking fee of like $50 or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
This phone, it was a Huawei.
You know what? It's okay. We'll keep going.
Yeah, let me just tell this story and then you jump in.
Yeah.
It was a Huawei. Literally, the thing would fritz out and recycle at least twice an hour, if not 4 or 5 times an hour. It was so bad. I brought it back, and they're like, well, we need to do a restocking fee. I talked to the manager, and I said, this is what it's doing. I showed him what it was doing. And I said, I am not taking another one of these. This is not even a phone. This Huawei is so bad, I can't even use it as a paperweight because I'd throw it. They waived the restocking fee. I ended up getting, I can't remember if it was Android or iPhone at the time, but because this was years ago. Yeah. But Huawei, I don't know what it was. Maybe the Chinese Communist Party, all their spyware on there was just fritzing out. But don't buy Huawei. Chinese electronic goods, whether it's their phones or their cars. I'm sorry, their cars, their electric cars, are known for being cheap. They rot. Sorry, Electric Viking, I watch you, but you're wrong about the Chinese cars. They're terrible. Never get any. All right, go ahead.
All right. Actually, the Huawei, I will start with that. I had a Huawei watch. Oh my gosh. Best watch I ever owned in my life. I kept it as long as I could until it literally caught on fire on my wrist. I swear the battery just died one day. I was like, ow, what the hell? And took it off and it just started glowing hot. Okay. That was probably the best watch I ever had. And to be fair, it was probably me who broke it more than it, because I would wear it in the shower and they weren't technically shower rated, but it worked in the shower and I just didn't take my watch off ever. But it had the best feel. It had the best everything. It was great.
Until it caught on fire
but it was years. Arm. It was years. And like I said, I probably shorted the battery out. I probably got water in it or something. But it was years. And yes, I'm sure the Chinese were spying on me the entire time for that watch, because it was the first of its kind. Even Samsung, when it came out with its whole, we have a speaker now and we have a microphone now and you can talk into your watch, which, was before Apple could do that, by the way. Huawei had way better. It was way better. I went to a Samsung after the Huawei and I was like, I wonder if I could find one of these Huawei's on eBay and go back. And I ended up, for reference, I went up and got Garmin, and I am in love with the Garmin watches. But we'll watches for a whole nother world.
Well, actually, I know why you couldn't find the Huawei. I actually
they're
know
all
why.
banned
No, that's not it. They all caught fire eventually. It wants to work great, but if it catches on fire, like I have never heard this story. I can't believe it. I spent $10,000 on this Rolex, and after several years, it caught fire.
To be fair, people are taking their Rolex with places I went. I highly doubt anybody's using a Rolex while they're welding, while they're cutting, while they're slamming it into walls, while they're dragging it around, while they're going swimming, while they're showering. I highly doubt anybody uses a Rolex that way.
Yeah, I know why they don't use a Rolex
because
that
they're filthy rich and they don't have to.
No, ask me why they're not using
Why?
a Rolex that way.
Why?
Ask me.
Why? Why don't they use a Rolex like a real watch?
Because they're not stupid, Jeremy. They're just not stupid. Okay?
Okay, well, I will admit, I have Garmin and I have the Phoenix. I also have the Forerunner, which is hilarious because I don't run. But I have the Phoenixes, and they last forever. They work great. They don't hold up to getting welding flash on them. If you're a welder, buy a cover. Other than that, they work great. But back to the watches. This is the problem. We're always going to get sidetracked.
Okay.
That's why it's a ramble.
No,
back to the
it's
phones.
a ramble.
Back to the phones. I had Samsungs, early Samsungs. I liked them. My wife was an Apple person until she wasn't, because they bricked her phone and she got mad and she crossed over to the quote unquote dark side.
Wait. Who bricked her phone?
Apple did. When they upgraded, they forced an upgrade eventually and it wouldn't work. And so we took it to the Apple store and they were like, oh yeah, well here, spend a few $100s and you can have this, I don't know, whatever number S it was, and it won't do it. And I'm like, but it's the same number. And they're like, oh, no, we're not going to do that to these phones. These phones have a better processor. She spent the $100. She got I don't know, a 4S, a 12S, whatever the hell it was. And it got her about 3 weeks. And then they forced the update on that phone and bricked that phone. And she was like, nope, I'm done. And she went to Android and she hasn't looked back.
You know what we should do for an experiment?
What?
I actually have an Apple iPhone 1. Wasn't called the 1, but it was the 1.
Yeah.
I actually have it. I have a charging cord.
It won't work.
I wonder if we can get that thing to work.
It won't work. And the reason I say that is because a very close friend of mine, she had a phone, I don't know, it's probably like 3 or 4 generations old now.
Yeah.
Because she has the most modern one now. And she holds onto her phone for a long time too. And I want to say it was probably 4 years old. It wasn't running. It was freezing. It was having all kinds of issues. She couldn't even text without it having errors and losing things and freezing up and stuff like that. And magically, and it kept trying to force an update. And I think the Apple store had officially told her, don't update it. And it kept trying to force an update. Every so often it was saying, you need to update. And she'd be like, no. And she'd fight back and forth with it. And then something I think it was the text. She was just like, her job requires her to text a lot, and people weren't getting texts, and she didn't know that. And come to find out, the processor was freezing, and then it just wouldn't send the text. And so she went out, got a new iPhone. Everything works beautifully now. So it has to be that. So I can't imagine your little iPhone 1 is going to do anything other than look pretty on a counter.
Well, Windows is doing the same
I know.
thing.
It drives me insane.
I just told you, I just recently upgraded my desktop computer because it was Windows 10. I mean, granted, the thing was 10, 11 years old, but they're no longer servicing that.
Yep.
And about 3-4 weeks later, I find out that my graphics card, which is about 10, 11 years old, they're going to stop updating it. And so the whole thing by October wasn't going to be good. So, again, I used to build a computer every other year, every 2.5, 3 years tops. And I used to build computers for my friends all the time. But I ended up getting in a position where my computer was so outdated, I had to upgrade. And so I just went out and got like the 49-inch widescreen monitor, which is like having 2 humongous monitors put together. I showed it to you. That was $1,000. That's $1,000 monitor. I went over, but I wanted something because I'm doing that. And then the computer itself, I went ahead and said, I'm getting the top end CPU. I'm getting one of the highest end graphics cards. And I updated the whole whole thing. That was like $3,200 because I actually had them build it instead of me because I live so far away from that store where I can swap parts. It's kind of like a Fry's. But yeah, they're doing those things with electronics now where they actually have it set to a lifestyle.
Sunsetting.
Yep. Yeah, to a life cycle, not a lifestyle, a life cycle.
Yep.
And you're going to have to upgrade. And this laptop, I'm going to have to upgrade this laptop, the one we're using for our recordings, because it's Windows 10 and it won't upgrade. So I'm going to have to upgrade. This is a gaming laptop, but it's 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
It's sunsetted. I'm going to need to get a new
Well, that's the software too. I mean, Adobe, Microsoft, all of them, they're all going to these licenses. You never actually own any of it. And if you are going to own it, you're only going to be able to own it for a few years.
You will own nothing and you will be happy.
All hail the farm.
You know, I was thinking about it because I was looking up stories and stuff like that. What is his name? Zorhan? Let me see. Zoran Mandani. That communist guy, socialist. He would call himself a communist, running for New York's mayor. How messed over. I want to say another word, but we can't cuss or anything like that. But how messed up do you think New York is going to get if that guy takes over?
You know, and that's the interesting thing. You know, it's funny. I don't know. It's I have a lot in my head right now about all this. But I think it's just so interesting. How's that saying go? You know, hard times breed hard people.
You know,
hard people breed...
Hard times breed strong men. Strong men bring good times. Good times brings weak men. Weak men brings hard times.
That's
and it's a cycle.
And it cycles back and forth. And I really think we're in the weak men brings hard times thing.
Well, you ever hear about that kid who turns to his parents and says, Mommy, when I grow up, I want to be a socialist. And Mom says, honey, you can't do both.
There was a lady and at my local grocery store, and we don't normally go to this grocery store. It's on the bougie side of town. And we just went there. They had a coffee shop. We have a thing where as a family, we're going out and doing coffee, you know, once a week just to go out and kind of sit and like connect, kind of like what me and you are doing right now.
Yeah,
but without a microphone.
We've been doing this all day long. Like we've been going. It's 11:37 right now. We've been going since what, 7 a.m.
Yeah, we literally set out to do this at 7 a.m. and I think we just turned it on. What, 10 minutes ago?
If that, and this has been nonstop except for when I went to the restroom.
Yes. We stopped the conversation when you go to the restroom. Which is a big pet peeve of mine. I don't care who you are in this world. You will lose all the points with me if you have a conversation in the bathroom with somebody. That is quiet time for everyone.
All right, let me ask you this. Which is worse, choice A or choice B? Choice A, I'm in the bathroom having a conversation with you. Choice B, I'm in the bathroom having a conversation with me.
As long as you're offering words of encouragement to yourself, hey, you know what? Yeah, I can live with that. But it drives me nuts when I go into the restroom, and don't get me wrong. I will accept the guy sitting next to you. You know, you're at some gas station. Damn, weather sucks here, doesn't it? Or something like that. Yeah, okay. You know, a couple minutes
away, the wind blowing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like this race going on. I get that. That's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the guy who's sitting in the stall, groaning and having a conversation with somebody on the other end of his phone. And I'm just like, dude. First of all, I don't need to hear this. Second of all, the person on the other end doesn't need to hear everything else that's going on in this room at this moment. And so I don't know. But anyway, gosh, we really digress when we do these.
Absolutely. When we do our rambles.
Yeah, they go.
But going back to that Mandani guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're only going that far back. We're not going back to the Pixel phone.
What really gets me, all these people, it's been 120 years of socialism. 120 years. How many countries have tried it? It fails every single time. And then you hear, but we really haven't tried socialism.
Yeah.
And buddy, either it doesn't work Or how many times can you try and it doesn't work? It's not the trying.
I'll be honest. If you can get the mentality of the populace, you can get some sort of version of socialism light, like France or like Germany or somewhere like that, where the government controls a lot, but there's still enough capital to kind of keep a lid on it, kind of keep it kind of a ceiling where you can't run too nuts. But
you need capital. You have to have capitalism.
Yeah, even China has figured out. Yeah, even China's figured out. You have to have capitalism.
Well, the other thing is they have a supporter. Somebody is subsidizing it, and that would be us. Yeah. Because we've turned to several of these countries and said, no, you have to pay, what is it, 2 or 3% of your GDP or your revenues towards military defense. We can't subsidize you. Yeah. And now they're all panicking because they've spent so much on the socialism aspect because it is so inefficient that now they're having to pull money out of it. And they're like, how are we going to afford socialism? We actually have to pay for ourselves. And even though Margaret Thatcher was credited with saying socialism works great until you run out of somebody else's money.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, she didn't actually say that. Somebody else said that, but she gets credit for it. And she basically said that it doesn't work. And New York is going to find out.
Well, it's actually, I know very little about this in the end of what's exactly happened with numbers and figures and that. But high fructose corn syrup was just taken out of Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola just decided that they're going to go to sugar cane.
Good.
And they've been doing that in other countries. It's interesting that they don't do it here, and that's the interesting part. And as I've always said before, you follow the money. That's really where it leads you everywhere you want to go. And high fructose corn syrup is a corn-based product. We produce the corn. Trying to keep it all in the United States. I love that. That's a great idea. Keep it in the United States as much as you can. But the only reason they're taking the corn and growing corn and turning it into high fructose corn syrup, and the corn syrup is so cheap so that they can use it, is because of the government subsidies to the farmers.
Is there a big, and I don't know, I think there is, I heard there is, health-wise, I hear that corn syrup...
Oh, it's terrible for you.
It's terrible for you.
It's absolutely terrible.
You're better off having the sugar.
Yes, absolutely.
That's sort of... I've got to say this. RFK Jr., I don't agree with his really left-wing stuff. I've always respected him. I've always really respected the guy. There's a few issues where I'm like, okay, you're a little cuckoo, but then he turned out to be right. But with his health stuff, I really respect the guy. Oh, no. The guy is right.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the one thing that I liked about RFK Jr., if we're going to keep going there.
But we don't have to.
No, but we're going to go wherever we're going to go, right?
We're going to go where we go.
But the one thing I've always liked about him is he has stuff to back it up.
Yeah.
You may not like what he's going to say. It may even sound kind of a little out there, but he's got data to back it up. There's been research. There's been this. He's not just picking it out because it's part of an agenda. He's not picking it out because some guy told him to pay for or paid him to say it. He's saying, no, this is the data. I believe it. And I don't care if you believe the sky's purple. If you really passionately believe that, I'll listen to you. I'll even consider it a little. You may be blatantly wrong in the end, but if you're not on somebody else's dime to say it, I'll respect that till the day is long. And so I don't really love him all the time, but I do get behind him, and I do feel that he's passionate about this. And,
oh, absolutely.
And it's something I can get behind because I as a large man, getting smaller, but I have been as big as 380 some pounds.
Yeah, well, how tall are you?
I'm 6'1".
You're 6'1".
Yeah, I'm 6'1".
You're even taller than
right now I'm at 250. At some point I was 389, almost 400, and at some point I was down to 218.
You lost a lot of weight. You lost a lot of weight.
But the one thing is, I really started to look at this, and you're right, that sugar cane. If I drink a Coca-Cola, even a Coca-Cola that's got high fructose corn syrup in it, I don't feel as thirsty and oh my god, I need the next one, as if I drink a Diet Coke. I can't stop drinking Diet Coke when I start drinking Diet Coke. I can nurse a 12-ounce can of straight cola for an hour or more. And so there is something to all that. And if you give me a full sugar Coke, I feel full by the time I've drank one. You know, I don't feel like I'm empty and I need more. And so there is definitely something there. And I also want to point out, if you fed cattle corn, which we do, we finish, quote unquote, finish cattle with corn, you can only do it for something like, and I'm not a scientist. I'm sure there's a rancher somewhere that will comment on this at some point. I think it's 90 days. You can only feed a cow corn, like as a finishing product, which means most of their diet is corn, for like 90 days, or you kill them.
That's not good.
Yeah, so that's why they finish them for a certain amount of time. It creates a ton of fat in them, and then they butcher them then, and that's how they get the marbling and all that
dead
stuff.
cow is not good unless it's on its
unless it's walked up its little ramp to do it.
No. If it's on your plate, Dad, that's kind of a good thing.
So it's one of those things where it's like, if you can't feed a cow all this corn all the time,
and
why are we pushing high fructose corn syrup, corn-based this, corn-based that, Why are we doing it? I mean, the only good thing that I found in, almost 50 years here, the only really good thing I found that has corn in it
is corn.
Is whiskey or bourbon.
Oh, okay. I don't know if we can say, are we allowed to say whiskey or bourbon?
There are whiskey and bourbon YouTube channels.
Are there?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, I guess we can say whiskey or bourbon.
But anyway,
see, I think with Diet Coke, you have a drinking problem. Me, with alcohol, let's say whiskey. I don't have a drinking problem. I can have one shot and I stop. That's because I'm a lightweight and I'm on the floor.
That is absolutely true. We don't give Seth any more than about one drink.
No. I don't. It is very rare for me to have a drink.
And to be fair, it's not because he's a partier. It's because he's heavy and I don't want to carry him anywhere.
I'm 5'7". I'm down to 160.
He actually looks good. It's not heavy that. It's just I don't want to carry 162 pounds.
Oh, so if the house is on fire, you wouldn't carry me out?
I'll drag you out.
You'll drag me out.
I'll drag you out.
All right. What if I'm in the bathroom talking to myself?
God help me, because no one else will. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But anyway.
All right, I got my one joke. I looked up a couple jokes. I got to say a couple of jokes.
All right,
I'm going to do my stupid jokes.
Okay.
All right. A communist, a socialist, and a capitalist all agree to meet at a cafe. The communist and the capitalist arrive on time, but the socialist is late. An hour later, the socialist rushes in. "Sorry, I'm late, guys," he said. I had to wait in line for a sausage." "What's a line?" asked the capitalist. "What's a sausage?" asked the communist. Oh yeah, all right. But there's a couple jokes like that. All right, I'm not going to go on the. Oh, I will say this. It's a teacher joke. Here we go. What do you call it when a socialist teacher can't control his students? Class struggle.
Oh, that's a social studies joke.
Yeah, it is. I think I need to use it this way.
Yeah,
I think I need to use it this year.
Yeah, someday. We won't do it for this ramble, but I always sit down with my kids every year and we go over what is a monarchy, what is a democracy, because we talk about current events in my construction class, because construction is horribly tied to current events. It really does depend what the social thought is at the time on how you build a house, how a house gets built, whether a house gets built, whether a house is being remodeled, whether it was being built from scratch.
How so?
Well,
explain it to me as a person who has no clue what you're talking about.
So,
because I'm not a construction guy.
No. Right.
I understand the economics going on.
So politics, and I don't mean politics red, blue, and all that. I just mean the feeling of the day, and we'll use some historical data. 80s, very environmental movement, and I'm not saying that spotted owl tastes like chicken. Maybe it does, but they shut down entire forests to help certain animals. And we could go deep dive on the fact that they actually had the numbers wrong and anything but because they shut down those forests, there was a huge push for metal stud construction in homes.
Okay.
Well, what they found out is metal stud construction homes, which actually got more expensive, and it didn't work as well. All the residential trades had to go and retool up and change things. Homeowners were not happy with how the houses were built. You couldn't just put a screw into a wall anymore. In fact, in a lot of times, it's better to use a drywall toggle anchor on the drywall than it is to actually go into a metal stud. Believe it or not, that's.
I was actually thinking about that this morning.
And so
talking to myself in the bathroom.
Yeah, and so the the current climate changes things. Right now, because of the housing collapse in 2008, the people, and I'm just going to put them in that 20s, 30s category. Yes, home ownership is hard to come by right now. But when they were just starting to really understand it and really starting to hear their parents struggle and hear those conversations at the dinner table kind of thing, that's when the housing market collapsed. So some people got to buy houses cheap. Some people lost their houses. It depended on where your wealth base was at that moment. And so now these age group people are saying, oh, houses are too expensive, I can't afford them. And they are expensive. Don't get me wrong. They are an investment, though. And I'm sitting in a 1950s neighborhood, and the homes in this neighborhood are coming up for sale. And the people that are buying them are families looking to start out that see the value. And yeah, that house is expensive, but I'm getting a portion of that money back the whole time, instead of paying it all to rent or to this. Now, I'm going to use some people I know as an example. I have another person who is making a very good living, a couple people that are making very good livings, and they don't want to buy a house because if they buy a house, their statement is they will be a slave, quote unquote, to the house. They will not have the disposable income to have their experiences.
Here's the one thing I would say about houses, because I bought 2 properties in my life. Okay. One was a condo, and when the market was crashing, I bought it, and then it crashed even further. And long story short, I ended up short selling it. I walked away. The bank got messed over because they wouldn't agree to a short sale that would have really benefited them.
Yeah.
And everybody was saying what a great deal this was for the bank because they actually wouldn't really lose any money. And so the bank ended up taking it over because they wouldn't agree to the deal. Long story short, it crashed even more. They lost money, but not my problem. I bought a house now. Okay. Basically, every month I'm paying the mortgage.
Yep.
My house value has gone up.
Yes.
Almost, I think it's 80%, 90%.
Yep.
It's almost double.
Yeah, and you didn't buy at the best rate. It was on its way up.
I was paying 5.75, I think, and then I refied at 299. So I bought when it was really low. I bought at a perfect time. 2 years later, I refied. I have a mortgage at 299.
Yep.
My house value has almost doubled in only a couple of years. And of course, every month when I pay my mortgage, I actually own more of that house. So by the time give it a couple of years, that house will be triple with wages going up. Eventually, it's becoming less and less and less of my wage. And I'm owning more and more of this house. And then the value that it's going up, that's all in my pocket. So eventually, when I retire, I'm selling the house. I'm going to go to a very inexpensive state, say a Montana, an Idaho. I would love to go to Florida.
Those aren't inexpensive anymore.
But, well, yeah, you find an inexpensive place to go. You have all that money banked. You buy a house, you outright buy it in that other state. You're good to go.
Yeah.
So a house is a great investment. Even if the market collapses, it's going to come back up.
Yeah, it's just a matter of holding on. It's like the stock market. Stock market crashes, but it always comes back up.
Yeah, well,
you just don't want to sell at the bottom. You want to keep riding it for a few more years.
Yeah, housing values go up and down. They do go up and down. But long term, the value of a house will always go up.
But back to the thing, because I don't want to turn this into a financial argument about it. The mindset of people right now, the prime people buying first-time homes, is they don't want to lose their experiences. They don't want to invest their time and money into things that just keep them on that property. And so they want to live in apartments. They want to live, and then we have this whole movement of we just game, we just play video games, we do everything inside the house. We don't do it outside, so we don't need a yard. We don't send the kids out to play anymore, type of thing. And so the housing has changed. Now you've got denser packed housing. You've got better drywall and better insulation, so it's not as big a deal to have a shared wall. So you're seeing a lot of townhomes coming in because you don't hear the person on the other side of the wall as much as you used to anymore. And so there's a lot of different things that change over time. Back to the construction, just using the 90s to now, copper was expensive for a while. So they went to aluminum And you just have to increase the wire size of the aluminum to use aluminum instead of copper in the electricity of the house. And that's a great thing. In fact, we still use aluminum because it's a lot cheaper when we're using large gauge. We're like power transmission, not just to your plug in your house, like to your house kind of thing. But the problem is we found that aluminum shrinks with the heat. Well, when you run a lot of electricity, it changes shape. It changes size. And they were having issues with it not working properly in a house. And so we've drifted away from aluminum wiring and gone back to copper, even though copper is much more expensive. And so there's little things that change through the mindset and through the time. And so those things change, and you have to be willing to do it. And so back to the political climate, and what started all this mess was it really depends on who's backing what pony at the time and everything like that. Right now, big public works stuff going on, big public works things. And you also have so many people not wanting to go into construction. They don't want to work for a living. And I don't mean people are lazy. Trust me, there are jobs out there that are so much more demanding and you never get out of a desk. I mean, I was an engineer, I know. But people think somehow that working with your hands isn't as rewarding, or they don't want to be in the heat. You know, they've grown up in a house in air conditioning. They didn't play in the backyard all summer. And so they don't realize that, and this is a number that's been out since the 60s, and every now and then they redo the numbers, and every time it comes up about the same. 70% for every dollar spent in the United States goes directly to construction. All you people who don't want to do anything with construction are fighting for the other 30 cents for every dollar in the United States.
You know, it's really amazing. And this is a slam on teachers. Mm-hmm. There was that movement for the longest time. Oh, every kid has to be college ready.
Don't get me there. Don't make me
no, I'm going to go there. All these teachers would turn around and say, you don't want to end up growing up to be the garbage man. You know what they didn't tell you?
That garbage man's been getting 5 weeks a year and making 6 figures.
That garbage man is making more than the teacher.
Yeah.
And he has no debt to the college. That's why they've switched to college and career ready. Hey, there's nothing wrong with any kind of work. Just do something that either other people don't want to do, or do something that other people can't do.
Yep.
You know, I mean, we always talk about plumbing. I mean, hey, those guys make what, 80, 120 bucks an hour?
To be fair, there are plumbers that are great plumbers, and there are plumbers that are bad plumbers. There are plumbers that make a fortune. There are plumbers that don't make a fortune. It really depends on your hustle in the world. But yes, a good plumber who has hustle is going to be making that $100, $150, $180 an hour.
But that's anything.
It is anything. But people attribute it to, they immediately, when we talk about teaching, they immediately talk about those 6 figures. When they talk about being a doctor, they immediately talk about those hundreds of thousands of dollars they can make a year. When they talk about construction, they immediately talk about the guy working $16 an hour. And it ticks me off that they do that. My family was supported on a single income of not even full building construction, of cabinet making, my entire life. Obviously, there's money out there to be made if you want to work hard at it.
I will just say this about your dad. I've been to your parents' house.
Yeah.
Okay, they've done construction.
Yeah.
Oh my God, is that house beautiful? I mean, there's wood everywhere. And it's not just like, here's wood. Oh, we put wood boards up. It's carved. It's I don't know, lathed.
And it's all done. It's like, all done with a labor of love. And
it's beautiful.
And that's the kind of level you'd expect your plastic surgeon to have, right?
I would hope.
I mean, there's a famous line, Martin Luther King Jr. said it, and it drives me nuts that nobody wants to ever quote it. It was in his I Have a Dream speech. But it was, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I've got it pretty well, I think, if I remember correctly. But it's, if your lot in life is to be the street sweeper, you be the best street sweeper you can be. And I think people have lost that.
I think people have become lazy. And
there's a difference between lazy and unmotivated. I think people don't see a reason to be motivated. Because once they do find a motivation, they're not lazy in that spot. Lazy to me means you lay around the house no matter what. Lazy in the sense of, you know what, I am passionate about video games. Great, be passionate about video games. Obviously, you're not lazy about the video games.
Yeah, but I see, I'm sorry, this is where I'm going to disagree with you. When I was growing up, I could not wait to move out of my parents' home. I could not wait. Yeah. Now, let's be honest here. That first go, I'm going to leave my parents' house because I'm 18. I'm an adult. Your house, your rules, fine. Gotta go. You go out on your own. You fail. You came back. Hey, Mom, can I come back? Okay, we're going to have the talk. My house, my rules. Do you understand? I don't care if you're 18, 19 now. You were home by 11 o'clock, or you called me and let me know where you are.
I love that you're using that statement because that was the biggest fight with my oldest son.
This is the fight with everybody.
Yeah.
But I could not wait to get out. You have people in their 30s sitting in the basement playing video games. I have no problem with video games. I am a gamer. I love video games. But at a certain
I can't stand
point,
them. Just so everybody knows. I don't even have a video game on my phone.
Which is fine. I don't play on my phone, which is fine, okay? Which is totally fine.
Yep.
But I'm up working.
Yes.
The hardest part of one of the hardest times in my life was when COVID hit.
Yeah.
Here was the
Absolutely.
rule. Here was the rule for teachers where I was working at the time. Whatever the kid's grade was at the time COVID hit, you could not lower the grade. It could only go up. Now,
that first year, that last whatever it was,
Well, the first year was like 6 months, eight, whatever it was.
Couple months.
Whatever it was. 4 months of the year, 5 months of the year, whatever. It was 4 or 5 months of the year left. And three? We're not going to argue over that.
It's the only thing we're not.
The A students had no reason to do anything.
Absolutely.
They had A's, and they were going to be A students anyways.
Yep.
The F students never showed never did anything. They weren't going to do anything anyways. Everything was online. Now, I had all these elaborate plans. I planned to run my class exactly as I did in person.
Yep.
But here was the rule. The students did not have to turn on their camera. Okay. Yeah. They did not have to turn on their sound.
Yeah.
All they had to do was when you said, who is here, check in. In the typing part, they just had to type their name. You took roll of whoever was there. And that's all they had to do. Now, there was always one or two kids who left the sound on. They would never say anything, left the sound on. Not only could you hear the video game they were playing, it was like,
yeah.
You knew what game they were playing. Super Mario Brothers, whatever it was they were playing. You knew it. And you're like, hey, Dave, can you just mute your mic? It got to the point where you would literally go on every hour, the top of every hour, whatever time class started, you would spend maybe 10 minutes saying, here's your assignment for the day. There's the reading. There you go. I've uploaded the assignment to Google Classroom. Nobody would do it. And I would then spend the next 45 minutes just dreading the next hour coming because I wasn't earning my money. Yeah. I wasn't doing anything.
You're useless.
And our society, society should be forced altruism. You need to do something good for someone else in order to get good back. Yeah. And I wasn't doing what I was paid good money to do. It was just like, here you go. If I would do that now, I'd be fired.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. I'll backtrack, and I think we're gonna both end up on COVID, which is terrible. I hate COVID. But we'll backtrack. You're absolutely right on the teaching thing and what they push in colleges and that. And I have this theory, and it's not a popular theory, but I see it and I feel it as the guy who's perceived as the construction teacher, just basically a step below PE as far as a lot of teachers are concerned.
Okay.
I'm just the shop teacher.
The ranking sucks, but I will say this. You're perceived as the construction teacher because you are the construction teacher.
No, but I mean, I guess what I'm saying, that you're right. I misspoke there. I'm perceived in the hierarchy of teaching below PE teachers. I'm down there. I'm like, he's basically a grounds guy, but we let him teach the kids. The way they kind of treat.
Maybe it's me. But I think it is me. I've always had a much higher respect for those extra, I don't know what to even to call it, those CTE classes.
It's CTE now, Career Technical Education. It used to be called Voc Ed,
Yeah,
and
Voc
before
Ed.
that it was shop classes, right?
Yeah, but I've always had a high regard for those because you need some of those skills in life, even if you're not going to do that stuff. I've also been like the teacher. I know a lot of teachers have looked down at custodial staff and other people like, I'm a teacher. I have a degree that I spent God knows how much money on. And it's like, you know what? These are great guys doing great jobs. Without them, and
You couldn't look good.
You couldn't look good. And I've always been one of the teachers where if I need something, boom, they're right there for me because I've always shown my custodial workers that much respect.
And you're willing to
I'm
help
not saying
them and
all,
meet
but
them.
a lot of teachers don't.
No, yeah. Well, so that's
And
the
other
thing.
staff.
And that's actually how I ended up getting into teaching. I did construction. My family did construction. My mom, I'm of that generation of you have to go to college for something, right? And my mom, I wouldn't say they forced me. I mean, they never even paid. I paid. But it was always kind of expected. You need to try and get out of the family business. You need to go do more. You can come back. You can start your own company. You can do this. But try something different, And so, and as a hothead teenager, as a young 20s, I can do it better, right? I can go out and do my own thing. And so I went to school and I failed at school quite literally a couple times. Eventually I got through it all and got it done. And I went to a private university and I got my electronic engineering degree in industrial robotics. So when you think of engineering and robotics, everybody wants to play with the little dog. No. Think warehouse. I'm the guy who learned how to set up an Amazon warehouse. That's the kind of industrial robotics we're talking about.
Yeah.
Mine, if you're trying to wrap your head around it, think animatronics. That kind of stuff. Air switches, logic gates, things like that.
Yeah. Now what happened to the
cell phone?
Now what happened to the animatronics industry?
Well, that was the problem. Yeah, the animatronics industry died out because most of the animatronics industry is movies, and they all went to CG and screens.
Yeah.
So when I started going to school, animatronics was hundreds of people on a credits list and maybe 3 guys that worked a computer. Now it's hundreds and hundreds of people working a computer and 3 guys that did the animatronics and the modeling. And so I kind of found myself out of a job before I even got to go look for a job. But I ended up going into industrial robotics that had to do with circuitry and things like that. And that's not about this. But I did that for a bunch of years. It's funny, I ended up being day-to-day operations manager, like literally intro engineer, quality engineer, day-to-day operations manager for the facility in less than probably 6 months, maybe a year. I was good at my job. Everybody liked it. And it's hilarious because most of my construction skills and my people skills I learned with construction are what got me through that job more than any of my engineering education. But
well, I think the moral of the story is, I don't care what the time is. Life has always been changing.
Yep.
Careers have been changing. Necessary skills have been changing. But if you hustle, and you go out there, whatever it is, even if you have to change the direction, you're going to, in all likelihood, I can't guarantee it, in all likelihood, be successful. And if you have no hustle, if you're not willing to go out there and work and do it, you're not going to be successful. And I know the left, these extreme socialists and stuff always go, well, it's not fair because, so many millionaires and billionaires inherited it. You know what the truth is? Most didn't.
Yeah.
Most actually made it themselves. Oh,
sorry, that was me.
That's okay. All right.
Typical teacher didn't mute his phone before you went to the...
Well, looking at time, we're going to leave it at that. We're going to post this with almost no editing. I don't think we'll edit this one at all. We're just going to check the sound.
Oh, wow.
Because we're trying a new sound setup.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening. Hey, Jeremy, if you like our rambles, what should you do?
You should absolutely like and subscribe. Hit that little stupid notification bell.
Yeah, but doesn't that cost money?
I don't know.
I don't think so. No, it's free. You go ahead. You go ahead and push it. We would love to have you as a subscriber. If not this time, next time. After that, do you have any last words of wisdom?
I would like this. You know what? Tell us where we're wrong. tell us, you know what, I really liked your ramble about the cell phones, but you know, that teacher stuff, I could care less.
Yeah.
Or the other way around, you know, tell us something, talk to us.
Tell us what you like. Tell us what you
don't make it like COVID. I mean, where we just sit here and talk to a microphone all day and no one says anything back.
We should have started this during COVID.
Oh,
we should have started this during COVID.
Oh my gosh, we should.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't get me started on COVID because I've got some stories, man.
Oh yeah, we'll have to save that for the next.
Yep.
All right, train out.
Take it easy.